Hello everyone, my name is Phawx. This is going to be my review on GameSir's latest controller, their wired G7 controller. Thank you very much to GameSir for sending this out to me for review. Now, as mentioned right here, you can see that it is wired only, so if you were looking for a third-party wireless controller, this is not going to be for you. For the most part, because this is designed for Xbox, there's the things that you should traditionally expect, like rumble motors in the base as well as in the triggers, and there are some clear differences with regard to the design and what type of switches and inputs they use, and we'll touch base more on that in a second, as well as the type of functionality you're going to get with using the GameSir Nexus software. If you take a look at the back, there are going to be highlighting three main different features that you're going to get over an Xbox Series controller. We'll touch base more on that in a second. Let's talk about what's inside the box. Obviously, you get the 10-foot wired cable here. Now, this is something that I was worried would be a tripping hazard and would pull either my Xbox Series X out of the place that I have it near my TV, or it would fling out the controller. Totally on accident, my daughter came by and actually tripped over this, and this immediately popped right out. So even though this feels rather snug, it is a breakaway type of design and will immediately come out of the controller. Now, it is rather long, so for most purposes, having a standard living room, I would suspect that this should be long enough for most people. But for people that are going to be okay with a wired controller, this does offer some features and functionality that are going to be above and beyond what a Series controller provides. Additionally, inside the box, you will get one other faceplate. GameSir provided two more for me here, just so that we can have a little bit of a difference. I believe GameSir is going to be having some designed faceplates that you'll be able to quickly change whatever you want there. Now, just very briefly, just so you can see how it works, it's all held in by magnets, comes out very easy. You are not going to want to use the controller in this particular manner, because using the analog sticks, it'll actually get caught and stuck, just as so. So you're always going to want to make sure that you have some type of faceplate on this device when it's in use, especially because you can overextend what the analogs are doing. There are some features and functionality with regard to using the GameSir Nexus software to configuring the analog input. I myself prefer doing raw input. Again, we'll touch base more on that in a second. I just want to finish what we have inside the box. You get stickers, some other paraphernalia, a little quick start guide, a more thorough user manual, which we're going to be really discussing in this review. Additionally, they give you an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate 1-month subscription. Now, for anyone that wants to use this code, feel free to use it. This is for new customers only. So if you were already an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, that won't work for you. First, let's talk about the analog sticks themselves. I am not a fan of the physical design of the analog stick. If we take a look at the analog stick, you can see the outer rim is exaggerated over what is kind of in a traditional Xbox Series controller. You can see this outer rim is textured and has a nice grip to it, as well as a concavity to the center for your thumb to rest. This is my preferred type of analog stick. What they've done here is on the inside, they made it convex, so it kind of pushes against your thumb, and then have this very extra rim on the outside, which I'm genuinely not a fan of how it looks. How it feels is fine, but honestly, the analog stick feel is superior on the Xbox Series controller. Now, if we were to take a look at the D-pad itself, the D-pad is dome-based. You can hear that, right? This is dome-based, much like the dome-based controller is on an Xbox Series controller. Now, the Xbox Series is clickier, and for my taste, I actually prefer the Xbox Series in terms of feel and input. However, for the most part, in use, this is fine. I think the only thing that people are going to get tripped up on is the face buttons. Now, the face buttons, they are using a specific mechanism for input. They're not membrane-based, which is more of a traditional. They're not dome-based. They are micro leaf switches. But if you give a listen to this, they are micro leaf switches. Now, what that means is that it operate much like how an arcade button would operate. It's a leaf switch, a micro leaf switch. Now, it feels a little bit off because typically there are no D-pads that have micro leaf switches. So if you like micro leaf switches, I think you're going to love it. But for people that are anticipating a certain feel, this is going to feel off. And even in use, I'm not really a fan of it, to be honest. Additionally, these are Alps-based sticks, so that means that they are using potentiometers, much like the Xbox Series and most other analog sticks are. So this is a traditional analog stick. As it applies to full range and motion in software and also in Xbox, I had no particular problem at all using it. It has a high degree of fidelity in terms of its input. How it is in use is totally fine. I just don't like the feel of it. If we go to the bottom of the device, this is where a lot of the different magic happens in regards to on the Xbox side. And this is actually really good, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of online gaming where you're chatting a lot. When you insert a headset, these buttons will now start working. So this will instantly mute everything that's happening. It's just an on-off switch, which is really good to see. Additionally, if you were to hold down this button and press up or down, this will change the master volume of everything that's happening out of your headset. If you were to hold the M button and do left or right, this will change the audio muxing between wanting to hear more of people chatting through your headset versus wanting to hear more of the game audio and being able to balance that very quickly. This is actually a feature that I really like to see on these particular devices, especially for a controller, just to be able to instantly, it's better for online gaming. I think this is something that is worthwhile. Taking a look at the back of the device, we can see these additional M1, M2 buttons. These on both Xbox as well as PC will offer you to map any particular button to this. Now, it's not going to be any type of macro sequence where you can do like XABY and then have that when you press that, it'll go through that sequence. That's not what this is going to do. This is just to facilitate, like if you wanted to press R3, inward like that, you could map R3 here if that was something that you particularly wanted. How it feels in the hand is very comfortable, but I did find myself accidentally pressing these buttons, so I typically disable these, but if this is something that you wanted as additional features, it does have it. Rounding out the inputs, we are going to talk about these triggers as well as the bumpers. Now, these triggers are Hall-based triggers, something that I do like, so they are using magnets to determine their sensitivity. You can, in Windows software, have this be a hair trigger, so no matter what you press, it will be as if you fully pressed it down. That is if something that if you really wanted, if it was just a hair trigger, that is something that you can do via the configuration software that they provide. I rather just have it fully done. You can also change the vibration sensitivity, so you can either make it less or greater depending on your own particular taste via the software that's included. Overall, as a controller, it's fine. I think that most people are going to get tripped up on the micro leaf switches as face buttons. I don't particularly like using them in practice and while playing. It just feels a bit off. I'm not really a big fan of micro leaf switches. I like dome-based or even just the membrane-based that you have on a series controller. You can hear this snappy membrane-based. If we were to think about what you were looking to get, I would still say get an Xbox Series controller over a GameSir controller. This is less weight than an Xbox Series controller, but this is also wireless, and all the inputs are actually very good on an Xbox Series controller. The only real reason that I think you'd want this is because of the instant headset control. If for whatever reason you wanted to have some type of customability to the front faceplate, this is pretty neat, but it's not something that is make or break for me. I personally have a hard time thinking of a reason why you would pick up this controller over a standard series controller, especially when series controllers, when they go on sale, go down to $40. However, they're typically $60 or $70. So if this was a good price at all times, this went down to about $30. I could see why you would want to get this, because overall, functionality-wise, it's just fine for Xbox and PC, and input-wise is really good. I would say the only reason that you should get this is if it was cheaper than a series controller. However, if you wait for a deal, I would really just advise to get a series controller myself. So that's my look at the GameSir G7 controller. It's odd for me to recommend. I can see some small avenues where this is, but mostly it's going to be a financial decision if you're going to be picking this controller up as a thing that I think is ultimately going to drive people to buy this controller. As always, guys, thank you for your time, and thanks for watching.